Welcome on in, Dbacks fans. We appreciate you guys tuning on in for another exciting episode of Dbacks Dispatch. As we can finally say, the best time of the year is here. Football, the Super Bowl is done. NBA is in kind of the middle part of the season where nobody really gives a shit until playoffs start. Pitchers and catchers have officially reported, my friends. Should be a national holiday along with opening day. But either way, we appreciate you guys all tuning on in here to celebrate as we have a few topics to discuss in regards to the D-backs and everything on the roster as we are officially underway, at least with spring activities. But before we dive into our discussions here, we want to thank you guys as the trio here: Brandon to your right, Gabe to your left, and myself, Brett, in the middle. Our man Josh made the great thumbnail, by the way, so shout out as always to our man Josh. We appreciate you guys tuning on in, whether it's your first time here or if you're a regular here. Either way, thank you for spending your time hanging out with us. Likes, comments, subscribes on the YouTube side really does help out a lot. Share with a friend if you got somebody in your life that you think would enjoy the show. Make sure you guys join the Discord. It's pinned in our tweet. It's pretty much in the descriptions anywhere, so it's free to join. You guys don't have to worry about paying a single cent to hop in there. We'd love to have you guys join the discussion. If you wanted to continue the discussions in there, or if you guys have any viewer questions, anything like that, the place to be is our Discord. And then another place you guys should all be is the azsnakepit.com website. Join the community over there. A lot of great articles every single day, literally like multiple, 3, 4, 5. During the season, sometimes you'll get anywhere from 6 to 7. If you're an aspiring writer and you want to make up your own writing, there's like fan posts over there as well, so it's not just the credit writers or the guys that are on the Snake Pit staff. It's literally for anybody. If you're a D-backs fan, that is the place you want to be. Again, azsnakepit.com. And then also, as I said earlier, kind of with our Discord link, follow us on all socials: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, especially during the season. I will toot our own horn a little bit. We are, I would say, the funny meme account. Obviously, we try to keep it serious. We like try to keep it light. But our man Gabe and Josh do post some absolute bangers throughout the season. So you guys are definitely going to want to watch or follow along with us throughout the season, especially for some of those long games when things can be a little frustrating. We try to look at the lighter side and get a little laugh or two, and move on to the next day. But as I said, pitchers and catchers have reported we are officially into spring training. It's an exciting time. Obviously, we're still, a week or two away from getting any actual game action in, from seeing anybody, just actually playing. But it's nice to see a bunch of the guys back out at Salt River Fields, especially all the pitchers, some of the new guys, whether it's the rookies like Cole Drake or young guys that are non-roster invitees, which we'll kind of dive into here in a minute. Or just even some of the positional players. Like I know the outfielders, infielders, all the other people outside of pitchers and catchers don't have to report until I believe the weekend, but it seems like pretty much everybody's there. I mean, Corbin, Perdomo, Cattell are all three all getting their work in, but Cattell's a diva. He's a cancer to the team. He doesn't care about the team, so clearly they should have traded him in the offseason. But yeah, it looks like they are all ready to go, and they're all hungry to get at it. But obviously there's some news that we'll get to here in a minute, obviously regarding the already weakened D-backs bullpen here. But before we dive into the discussion, gentlemen, with it being, like I said, should be a national holiday, what's your excitement level as pitchers and catchers report? Obviously, it's nothing crazy, but just seeing all the social media posts, the D-backs Twitter starts to get more active, just seeing all the the new spring training merch, all the some of the newer faces, maybe the older faces and all that. How excited are you that we're officially here at pitchers and catchers reporting early in February?
I'm really excited because that just means, baseball is just around the corner. And like we saw with the Super Bowl, this is why baseball is the greatest sport, especially when it comes to the playoffs, because, man, that Super Bowl game was absolute garbage. Like, there's no excitement except maybe the Bad Bunny concert and the girls throwing ass or something, but that was about it. At least with the I don't think I've ever seen a boring World Series, because even, the Dbacks, they lost 4-1. The Yankees lost 4-1 as well, but at least those, the games were all close, and then eventually, the better team pulled ahead in those games. And, there's always storylines in baseball. Like, you'll have a guy strike out to end the game. This guy struck out game 1, and the game ended right there, and now he's getting the chance to redeem himself in game 2 with the bases loaded and 2 outs or something like that. So there's always something to watch when it comes to the baseball postseason, especially in the World Series. So there's just a reminder that, baseball has the best championship series, I guess I should say. The NBA, I do like the NBA, but man, if anybody's watching the Suns game right now, the Mavericks have damn near 50 free throws right now. The Suns have 3, so that's what happens in the playoffs as well. We all experience it during the the Suns and Bucks series where they were shooting 40 free throws every freaking night. So there's none of that. There's no real downtime in baseball the way that it is in these other sports. So I'm excited to finally have baseball back because, now we all have something to do in the evenings. I've been watching a lot of movies, a lot of TV shows, just catching up. So I'm getting to the point where I'm getting a little antsy. I want to be able to watch some games, to listen to some games, and have something to do in the evenings where I'm not just like spending the time watching TV or something else.
Yes, I know. I know we're all excited. I know my wife, and if you're listening out there, if you have a significant other, is probably if they're not as into baseball as we are, it's probably like, oh boy, oh yay, great. There goes our time together. But yeah, we've been Kayla and I've been watching Night of the Seven Kingdoms, so definitely had a few things to kind of watch and throughout. Kind of keep ourselves entertained. But I agree, even if it's just spring training, it'll be nice. Especially I like spring training games because I have something to listen to while I'm at work. That's kind of like why I like day games every now and then too. Is I like some music here and there, but it's nice to listen to, especially the Dbacks radio. It's always a fun time, even in spring training, especially because we never fucking get things broadcasted. We get like 4 games, it seems like. So, and any kind of baseball, I'll take it. And we are at least getting underway here because, like Abe said, the Super Bowl was pretty boring except for the halftime show, which even dude, I don't even care if I couldn't understand anything. I was vibing out. Bad Bunny's got some bangers. Half the music I listen to, I can't even understand the lyrics anyway, so I don't care. If it's a vibe, it's a vibe. I'll rock out to it. But Brandon, what are your thoughts and everything and excitement level here as we are officially underway with pitchers and catchers reporting to spring training?
I'm at like a 15. Like I love this day. I love when it turns to February because I know, all right, pitchers and catchers reporting is right around the corner, and here we are. Really, this is the start of baseball season. I know some people say, well, it doesn't really start until they play the game. They're like, no, for me, it starts the day pitchers and catchers report. Like that sound of the amount of media clips I watched today of guys just throwing back and forth I just kept rewatching it because I love the sound of the ball hitting the glove. That smack just it's so
You
it,
love the
it
sound of the
just
balls against leather, huh?
yeah, it just it's just such a great sound. I mean, what can I say? And it's a brand new start. We really have no idea how this season's gonna transpire. Everyone thinks they know. Everyone assumes the Dodgers will three-peat. You never know. There's a lot of different things that can happen just in this first month. So you never really know. So I'm really excited for just baseball season because baseball is my favorite sport. Um, some people say hockey has the best playoffs. I personally think baseball has the best playoffs, but I don't really watch hockey, so I can't really say if that's true or not. I definitely think it's better than football,
Hockey playoffs are
personally.
pretty electric. I'm not gonna lie.
That's what I've heard. So, but I don't really watch it, so I'm gonna stick with baseball. Is my favorite postseason to watch because it's kind of like you said. Like you might have one bad game, but you get, and it's just like with the regular season. You have one bad game, you can do it all over again tomorrow. You can redeem yourself like that. Football, if you have a bad game, that might be your season. Your season might be over. So that's the nice thing about baseball is you get a lot of chances to redeem yourself.
Yeah, so that's a great point. Is it's not just you can't run the you cannot run the clock out in baseball. Everybody has to get their shot. Even though seeing Jose Herrera and Pavin Smith in the lineup does kind of feel like getting the clock run out on you, and you're doing some kneel downs there to end off the game there. But thankfully everybody still gets their shot, and you can't just hope that the clock will save you and you get saved by the bell. But Mr. Merlin 98 in the YouTube comments here, we appreciate you tuning on in. We are so back indeed. Yeah, unless you're Lawler with Tori, yeah, say that is definitely something. Especially we saw today, like Brandon said, with a bunch of clips. Saw and heard a bunch of clips of Lawler apparently getting some outfield reps and some infield reps. So hopefully we get to see more Lawler in general because we've all been very vocal the last 6 months to a year and a half about how he just needs an actual shot. Even I was talking with my manager at work today because he's a big D-backs fan. Even he was saying, he's like, bro, at this point, give Lawler 150, 160 games if possible and decide if he's actually going to be part of this team's future or not, or just, move on. Like, stop doing this, you know, dancing around. Gotta just give him a shot, especially when his trade value's so low. Like might as well. But there was the I guess the excitement. Obviously, it's a new season, but I feel like for us D-backs fans, it might be a new season, but it's always the same old, same old when it comes to the health of this team, especially in regards to pitchers. As I feel like if you just put on a D-backs uniform, your arm just instantly turns to Swiss cheese and just falls off. As the already weak Diamondbacks bullpen got a little bit weaker, and when I say a little bit weaker, I mean a lot weaker. As one of their few arms that was at least a little bit more reliable last year. I know it was a little bit of a shorter time. One of the more reliable arms last year in the D-backs bullpen that we were kind of banking on to at least be one of the more reliable arms again in 2026 is going to be out for the entirety of the 2026 season, as Andrew Saalfrank did share on Instagram that he went through shoulder surgery, and I believe Jack Summers ended up confirming.
Steve Gilbert.
Steve Gilbert, thank you, not Jack Summers. Steve Gilbert did end up confirming that Andrew Saalfrank will miss the entire season. As I know, there's a lot of us had some hope, like, oh, maybe he's only missing a few months here and there, but can't even get a single day of pitchers and catchers reporting in before. I mean, literally, they didn't even report this. This was 2 days ago, and his arm is already done for the season. So they're to take a blow, and then even Mike Hazen confirmed that they are still on the market for starting pitching and relief pitching, which doesn't surprise me with conversations around Zach Gallen still kind of floating around there. But unfortunately, he's obviously not the only one. We did get some other news as some of the other guys that we did see get hurt in 2025. The big three names that I feel like all of us obviously remember is Corbin Burns, Martinez, and AJ Puck. All of them ended up getting some elbow surgeries done. All of them kind of on different timelines. And they're saying that Corbin Burns is projected to return around the All-Star break. AJ, even though I didn't find it pretty funny, he was saying that he's making a bunch of jokes that he's good to go by March. And I think there was a quote.
That was like, no.
Yeah, and then he was saying that he's like, yeah, I've said it enough where I don't think they're finding it funny anymore. Which I like that he's got a good sense of humor. So he will be hopefully back by the All-Star break is what they're shooting for. I think they said AJ Puck around July-ish. So I think a little bit after the All-Star break. Then unfortunately Justin Martinez, which to no surprise, I feel like he's the one that got hurt the last. Justin Martinez is probably shooting for around a mid to late August return. So Andrew Saalfrank being added to the list of names that we will not have ready for at least opening day, well into a couple months of the season, if not the entire season. So what was your initial reaction, Gabe, to Andrew Saalfrank being injured? Did you hope that it was maybe something minor? Did it kind of just have the same reaction I feel like me, Brandon, and a bunch of other people had, where it's like, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I feel like it was bound to happen, but of course it had to happen to one of the few lefties we actually had in our bullpen. And I know somebody made a joke where I think even in our group chat we're talking about, oh, maybe we'll bring back Man Supply, but nope, it'll smell like a whole lot of teen spirit in here if we see Joe Man Supply return. But what was your initial reaction to Andrew Saalfrank's injury, and I guess maybe some of the thoughts that you have on some of the other three guys and their projected returns?
That was my reaction. Just that scream, because oh my god, like again. Like, we can't even get through, 1 day pitchers catchers reporting without something happening to our pitching staff. Because god damn, that was frustrating. I mean, he was seemingly gonna be the quote unquote bridge closer. I think that's kind of what we all suspected. He's probably is the only guy who has true closing experience on this entire pitching staff. Maybe Loizaga, maybe a little bit. He just hasn't pitched much. It's not like Saalfrank pitched all that much last season, but he had good numbers. He had good numbers in 23 as well. So he seemingly was the option, at least in the meantime, to be the bridge closer. Right now, we just have Braden Garcia, who's going to be our lone lefty. So as of right now, that Mike Hazen has some work to do. Maybe he will get Man Supply or. Beeks. I think Beeks technically is still out there, right? So,
yeah. Did Colum sign yet? I don't remember.
Yeah, so I'm like, there's a few guys out there. God, but that was my initial reaction. It was just frustration, but my frustration mostly came with what Scott Mack is talking about here. Is just that Mike Hazen didn't sign any real bullpen arms this offseason. Like they put all their chickens and all the eggs in one basket, and that was just Soft Frank, I'm assuming, like just a bunch of guys who are on these sort of prove a deal. So it's frustrating to see this happen already. Like who else is going to go down? Like this thing is a stack of cards. Like you remove one, they're all going to fall down. Like after this, who's there that you truly trust? Like Ginkle. Ginkle had a bad season last year. You also got surgery. All these other guys that they signed off of these minor league invites and deals and everything. This bullpen just went from bad to worse. And like I said, like it is a lottery. They're probably hoping to hit on 4 guys, maybe. So that's why they signed a bunch of 20 guys, with these minor league deals. So maybe some of the guys that they got in the trades, they might pan out, but I'm not really putting too much investment into that. Like until we actually see these guys have full seasons, and it just goes to show that you can never have too much pitching as of right now. That just showed them that they should have been focused on acquiring pitching instead of some of these other deals like they did with Soroka. Like, sure, it's nice to have a 5th starter, but for that money, you could have gotten a decent closer. Like we saw a lot of closers and 8th and 7th inning guys go for a lot less than what Soroka was signed for. So it's frustrating, but at least we got sort of good news that Puck, Burns, and J Mart. They seemingly are going to play next season. None of them have had any real setbacks so far in the rehab, which is which is really good news, because the last thing you want to hear is just like, yep, he has a setback. Now the timeline's going to be pushed to, for Puck, I believe it was June. No, he's July. Now it's August. And same thing with Corbin Burns. He's supposed to be back by the All-Star break. You don't want to hear, well, maybe closer to the end of August. And same thing with J Mart, where it's like, yeah, he's going to miss the whole season. So at least we got actual timeline for these guys. Hopefully they're able to stay there. Seems like they're all starting throwing programs, which is really good news, because they got to get their reps in, because like I said about a few episodes ago, is that you don't want to get to the All-Star break and be 5 or 6 games below 500. Like you want to be at 500 or a little bit higher than that, so then they know what moves to make. You know who's back. You know who's performing. So maybe by the All-Star break, we might have Puck and Corbin Burns back, and maybe they're just okay. But just okay is a lot better than not having them at all and just having to deal with some of these guys like Woodford with that 5 or even 6 ERA type of guys. So if Corbin Burns comes back and he's a high 3, I'll take it. If Puck comes back and he's a mid to high 3 guy, I'll take that over some of these other guys and other options that we have. So, as the season progresses, this team might get better. But again, I think that just kind of shows some of the issues that Mike Hazen's going to have to deal with as the season goes on. And, I know Ken Kendrick loves him, and I know he gives him the budget, but I think kind of everybody is on something as right now.
Yes, I do like the positive way you at least put the spin on in regards to Burns, Puck, Martinez. As long as we can avoid any setbacks, like we can't really speed them up. Especially with elbows, like especially with the Martinez and I think Corbin Burns, like they both got like actual I believe full reconstruction on their UCLs, where Puck had a less invasive surgery, so I think that's why like he's not going to be missing as much time. Whereas like that's why Martinez.
I think for him they called it a brace rather than
basically kind of like a patch job in a way that
Yeah.
gets the job done. So I think that's why we're seeing him at least a little bit sooner than Martinez. But if we can avoid any kind of setbacks, I think that'd be key. That'd be clutch. Because like Gabe said, as long as we can stay above 500 going to the All-Star break, or at least around the trade deadline, I think that'd be huge, knowing that, I know we joke about it, but that would basically be getting, a lot of guys in, like that'd be basically making a trade when you're getting guys like Puck, Martinez, and Burns back. Obviously, they might not be as up to speed, because you're going to need that's why you see guys in the early on in the season never really go past like 5-6 innings, because they're building their arms up. So we'll kind of need to see them do that in the middle of the season in a hopeful potential playoff race. But any kind of positive we can take here, especially as, like I said earlier, not even getting a full day into pitchers and catchers reporting, and we're already having some of our guys drop like flies, which I just feel like is just the case for MLB in general. Seems like there's always like some kind of big injury to at least one or two people on each team before spring training games even get underway. But just gotta hope and be thankful that we haven't gotten any setbacks yet, and keep our fingers crossed, knock on any bit of wood, that we avoid them going forward. But Brandon, same question to you, my friend. What was your initial reaction to the Andrew Saul Frank news? Posting on Instagram saying that he's going to be pretty much out of going to be out for the season, as Gilbert confirmed. And then what is your thoughts on the three arms that were already out from 2025 and the returns? Maybe anything hopeful? Maybe Corbin Burns is going to be ready a little bit sooner. Maybe he's so motivated that he's going to be pushing up his return date, and he's going to show them that, hey, I'm still young, still healthy, I'm good to go. Let's get this thing rolling.
I'm curious is with this Andrew Saalfrank, because it was a left labrum repair surgery. Is this the same injury he was struggling with at the end of last season, or was this something else that came out of nowhere? Like that was my first thing, because I'm like, I know he had shoulder issue at the end of last year, because there was a week where he didn't pitch at all, and we're like, why are you not using Saalfrank in these big clutch high leverage situations? And then later we found out he had an issue with his shoulder. Is that the same injury, and you just decided to you thought maybe he just needed rest the entire offseason and it didn't get better, and you looked at it a week or two ago? Like, that was my first initial thought on hearing the Saalfrank news. Was this another issue where this medical staff we don't trust? Like, what? Because it definitely seems like they've made some suggestions on things that just don't seem to work out very well. But I was, in terms of the other thing, Puck, Burns, J-Mart, I was happy to hear we kind of have a timeline of what to expect with all three. Puck's going to be the guy that comes back first, because he's going to start throwing at the end of March. So could that be we get him in June, maybe, like even before the All-Star break? I guess it just depends on how quickly he progresses. Hopefully he doesn't have any setbacks. I love Burns' comments basically saying, I'm ready to go now. Like, I'm all ready to go. I was like, yeah, there's a reason you're not in charge of your own health. There's a reason why they have doctors and trainers to make sure that you're ready to go. So yeah, he's probably the All-Star break. And I know J-Mart said, and they said J-Mart's August. I don't even know. At that point, I think it depends on where we are. Like, there's no reason, if we're not in a wild card spot, why even bring him back there? Why not just have him rest and be ready for 27? Like, I know there's the talks that, oh no, we're gonna have a lockout, so maybe he may not even get to pitch in 27. I don't see the reason to rush him back if we don't need him to. Now, if we're 3 games back, 4 games back of a wild card spot when he's ready to go, I'm all for bringing him back. But I think with J-Mart, it's going to depend, because at that point, a majority of the season is going to be over. It just depends on where what the team's standing is at that point. For me personally, like, do I want to see him back?
Obviously, yeah.
He has another setback, and he's not ready for the start of the following season. Regardless if we get a lockout or not, you always want to have these guys ready to go by this date, by February, by the time pitchers and catchers report. So, I think I hope Puck is able to be ready to go. He throws, he feels great, and he's ready to go by June 1st, June 15th. I think that would help out this team a lot. But the Saalfrank news was a real bummer, because he had pitched really well when he came back last year. Like, his fastball and curveball were really, really working for him, and he was getting guys to swing at that curveball. That's the one thing in the 23 playoffs that I think he struggled with, is he could not locate his curveball. And guys knew he was going to throw it, and he was going to bounce it. So they're like, I'm not even going to swing at it. But he was able to really keep guys off guessing with it last season. So, yeah, it'll be nice to see what this team does until basically the reinforcements arrive, because that's what these three guys are. They're going to be reinforcements. They're going to reinforce that bullpen. They're going to reinforce that starting rotation. I'm very curious because every day that Zach Gallen is not signed, I think the chances of him coming back are in our favor. Because I think that every day that goes through spring training, I think he decides to agree to just come back here and sign a 1-year prove it deal, seeing if he can replicate his post All-Star break that he had last year.
Yeah, so I think even Torlavello said it himself because he was asked the same question, where he's saying they welcome him back with open arms, and that's kind of where I know our last episode we were going a little bit long, so I kind of I guess rushed but I had some other thoughts I've been thinking about later, where it's kind of like a win lose, where if we sign him back, cool, I'd love to have him back, but if he does good, then where we only get 1 more year of him, then he hits free agency, and he's probably going to be way out of our price range. If he does bad, then we're probably stuck with another Jordan Montgomery type contract, another Eduardo Rodriguez type contract, where if it is that same 2-year with a 1-year opt out after the first year, then it's I feel maybe not a lose-lose. Again, if he pitches good, cool, but we only get 1 more year of him. If he pitches bad, then cool. Looks like we're stuck with another bad contract. I would be okay with him coming back because, especially the way the bullpen's going, I think Mike Soroka would be pretty solid in the bullpen. Or, fuck it, worst case, put Erod back out there. But I don't even think you want to see Erod as your long relief because he's not really going to get you much relief unless he's in the Randall Delgado role where, all right, buddy, we're already down by 5. Go out there, just eat some innings. You can get up another 5, but I think that I fully agree with you on the J Mart, especially the fact that he, out of the 3 of them, is the only one that's now had Tommy John the second time. I know it can be kind of hit or miss with some players. I know Shohei Ohtani got his second Tommy John. He came back throwing, I feel harder than he did before he got his second Tommy John. Daniel Hudson, another one, had 2 Tommy Johns in his career, and he kind of came back, ended up reworking himself as a really solid reliever, and still ended up throwing really hard in his career. So, second Tommy John doesn't always mean that you're going to be worse, but I think that it definitely leads to them being a little bit more cautious and optimistic, or cautious and trying to.
We saw recently. Yeah, we saw recently someone's really struggling. That was Walker Buehler, I believe, had a second Tommy John. He just hasn't been right. But I'm very curious if they're going to ask him to change his repertoire at all, because the split finger grip is kind of an issue. It's kind of like what they tell, little league pitchers. They tell them don't throw curveballs because that's going to mess up your elbow and it's going to mess up your ACL. So I know this splitter grip, just with the way he does it, you can see you can see some muscles move there that kind of aren't supposed to move that way, especially when you're spreading your fingers that sort of way. So I don't know if they're going to ask him to change that splitter. I mean, that is his his breadwinner, but it might be worth it. Maybe this is why he's had 2 Tommy Johns. This is why a lot of guys get Tommy Johns, especially nowadays. Shohei Ohtani also throws a split finger. He also throws it hard. So Glasnow. So I'm very curious to see if when he comes back, is he going to maybe have a curveball, or is he going to have a slider or a changeup, something to where he's not throwing 40% splitters like he was in previous seasons.
Yes, because I brought up the Erod in the bullpen, Mr. Merlin 98 saying Erod for closer, and then our man Scott, who's just on an absolute heater with the nicknames as always, Elrod for the loss, and that's, but I mean, at this point, who knows? Maybe that's what he needs is a change of scenery in his position, and who knows? Maybe turns into a better pitcher in the bullpen, but highly doubt it. I don't ever know. Been surprised before. I want to shout out our man Dank Lemon. Yo. Welcome in, Dank. Oh, it's a pleasure to see you in here, my friend. Hopefully you're having a great, was it Tuesday? Yeah, sorry. My days are all fucked up ever since my vacation. Hope you are having a great Tuesday night. Appreciate you tuning on in here as we celebrate the holiday that is pitchers and catchers reporting. As we especially have a little bit more, I guess, positive news, as the Dbacks did, especially 2 days ago, put out their official list of non-roster invitees, as it's a pretty lengthy one. kind of go through at least some of the names of note there. You got in the outfield, you got Drew Jones, Christian Robinson, and obviously Ryan Waldschmidt. AJ Vukovic, I feel like this is like third spring in a row. So, name I feel like if there's anybody out of those four that has a shot to, break camp in the outfield, if Lawler really does struggle out there, is maybe Vukovic or K-Rob. Would nice to see Drew Jones, maybe a little more power out of him, and then Ryan Waldschmidt. I just want to see him in spring training. Like I would love to see Waldy hit some tanks. And then going on to the infielders, Jacob Amaya, Luke and Baker, who we signed, who's a former Cardinal. Lou James Groover would be nice to see more of him. Ben McLaughlin. You got the Hispanic Titanic, Ivan Melendez, Christopher Torrin, which we saw a little bit of him last year in spring. Same with Tommy Troy, who was also getting some outfield reps with Jordan Lawler out there. So Dave McKay already working his magic. And then Reno Ace legend, all-time great Reno Ace, Ildemaro Vargas is back for another stint. Going on to catchers, which again, I know we got James McCann and Gabby Moreno, but can never have a bad idea to get an idea, because obviously whether it's a freak injury or whether it's like kind of a soft tissue injury, still haven't seen a full year from Gabby. So we got Matt O'Neill, Gavin Logan, and Aramis Garcia as catchers, which we'll probably see one of those two as like my prediction as our early cuts. And then moving on to the pitchers, which I think this is going to be the one that's going to be the most interesting to kind of follow along. One of the big names out of there, obviously, is Daniel Egan, one of our top pitchers. I think our pitcher of the year last year. It'd be nice to see him get some innings there. Spencer Geisting, I know his 2025 was a little bit of a setback, or a little bit of a disappointment compared to what he did in 2023. It'd be nice to see him out there. Our legend Yu-Min Lin. Want to see him, maybe twirl it a little bit, because I think he'd be a pretty solid option, depending on if Mike Soroka can't, perform well, and maybe Yu-Min Lin can pitch well enough to get that fifth spot. But then some other names: Landon Sims, Taylor Rashi. We saw Rashi last year along with John Curtis, Alfred Murillo. Maybe we can see him get his walk issue down and under control. Gabe mentioned earlier.
The same one. I think that's a different.
Oh, it's a different one. I'm thinking Juan Murillo. Sorry.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe they're maybe it's the same pitcher, but has a better control either way. Jonathan Loizaga, I'm just gonna call him Johnny Lasagna just because of Twitter. And then some of the other names that I'm not as familiar with. I know Isaiah Campbell was a former Red Sox. So kind of like Gabe said earlier, they kind of just seem to sign anybody they can under the sun, and hopefully that one of them sticks. Going to basically be like Dylan Brooks tonight at the three-point line. Shoots 10 threes, he lands one of them. If we can land one of them, cool. Like that works for us. And then the other final name that I saw here of note is Tommy Henry, who obviously he also did have some surgery, and I think it was out for the entire year last year. So he's back again. Obviously, you can never have too much depth, especially in Reno. So definitely some interesting names here, especially at least I'd say one at each position. Maybe not catcher, just because, maybe a Ramos Garcia. But out of all the names you see here on the, the non-roster invitees, which a good majority of them will either be cut, DFA'd, or sent back to, reassigned to minor league camps pretty early. What's a name out of each one of these position groups that you were, I'd say, more interested to watch, whether it's somebody that you think can break camp or somebody you just want to see actual development and see, get some springtime in and see, maybe they can prove themselves a little bit earlier than a lot of us are expecting?
So I guess there's a few names like John Curtis. He honestly didn't have a terrible year last year. I think once they put him they tried him as a closer and everything like that, put him in high leverage situations, he struggled. But I think overall he was a pretty good and solid seventh inning guy. He kind of was a little bit of a bright spot. So he probably is a guy who's going to come out of spring. He probably is going to be on the major league team. Daniel Egan, I'm curious to see his progress. I believe you said that he got the pitcher of the year. Spencer Geisting, Tommy Henry is interesting because he's also coming off of Tommy John. He was the first Tommy John casualty last season, if you guys remember.
Was it him or Wolston? I thought it was Wolston was the first casualty of Tommy John. Because it happened in spring.
Yeah. So maybe Wolston happened like the actual year before, like December or something like that. But I remember Tommy Henry was one of those first ones. It was like in February, like in that first pitchers and catchers reporting. So I'm curious to see how he looks. Like I know we've talked about him a little bit as kind of being, his first 7 or 8 games were a lot better than he actually was. So maybe he's coming back. Maybe he can throw slightly bit harder, or just have a better curveball or something like that. I'm just curious to see where he is, if he can become an actual trade piece for this team. But Yu-Min Lin, I believe he's playing for Team Taiwan, so he probably won't be with the team too long. So whether he's gets sent back down or reassigned or whatever happens, he probably won't be able to team too much longer. Um, but the infielders, curious to see a Groover, and then Ivan Melendez and Tommy Troy. I think those guys all have a shot to make the team, or if not, be one of the last guys that are out there, in the spring. Tommy Troy, I think he's probably gonna be the guy who's gonna be cut last, maybe that last week of cuts, or if not, the last few days of cuts. And then the outfielders, Drew Jones. Again, he's also playing for the Team Netherlands, so he probably won't be around the team for too much longer. Christian Robinson, there's a lot of talk about him maybe making the major league team, if not being one of the last cuts. And then Waldy, I mean, that's a guy that we've talked about a lot as being maybe the replacement for Gurriel in the meantime. So I expect at least 4 or 5 of these guys to be in the last round of cuts, and at least it's going to be exciting for D-backs fans to be able to actually see these guys, because the only other way to see these guys normally would be if you have MLB TV and you watch the minor league game, which it's not terrible, but it's not as interesting as the major league games.
Yeah, so I think the K Rob is another one that it'll be interesting to see what they do with him. Obviously, I feel like he's just been kind of in minor league hell for the last couple of years, and it's one of those where I'd love to see him get a shot, but I mean, who knows? If again, I love Alec Thomas. Maybe Jordan Lawler plays good enough to where he kind of wins that starting center field spot, and then we can get K Rob out in the corners. Um, one of those guys we'll have to move on from soon, which is kind of unfortunate because I still really believe K Rob. I think he's still got some 5-tool ability, and I think he just needs a full shot to display it. And my fear is that if we don't give him that shot, then some of the team will, and then we'll look back on it in like 5-6 years and be like, wow, that guy's a really productive major league player. What team did he come from? Oh yeah, the Diamondbacks. Kind of like what we've seen for years. I mean, Carlos Gonzalez was a Diamondback. I mean, Max Scherzer. Like, it just seems like the D-backs do a great job of like knowing talent and scouting it, but I don't feel like they develop it as well, or they get lucky enough and have them develop at the right time. So hopefully Christian Robinson is not another one of those stories, but
And I
definitely some
believe
interesting names.
I believe he should be like Pro 5 eligible either he was this season or the next one. So I mean, he turned 25 in December, so this is kind of a make it or break it year, I think, for Christian Robinson. Again, he missed out about 2 years, if not 3 years.
It was like 2 years because of his like
His
visa issues,
legal trouble.
issues.
So it's unfortunate, but at least this team is giving him a chance, and hopefully he can take advantage of it. But I mean, missing 2 or 3 crucial development years, really does set you back a lot. So hopefully, he got some work in the offseason, and maybe he can look a lot better in spring, and maybe this team can give him a chance at the major league level.
So Christian Robinson is also playing in the WBC. He's playing for Great Britain.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, I'm excited. I know we talked about it last episode, but man, we're getting our baseball version of the fucking dream team for this World Baseball Classic. I'm so pumped about it. But yeah, so definitely a lot of names. I do like the spotlight on John Curtis you had there. I think he is another name that, especially there was a few tweets last year in the final month where he was reliable. He wasn't lighting up radar guns. He wasn't putting up insane numbers. He wasn't putting up like all-star worthy numbers, but he was a reliable arm in a sea of arms that we could not, like we could beg and plead but wouldn't get anything worthy out of. So John Curtis is definitely a guy that I wouldn't hate having back in the bullpen, especially if we can get that kind of 2025 numbers from him. But we'll have to wait and see. I feel like that's definitely the position that's open for any of those names to prove themselves worthy, whether it's maybe winning a starting spot and pushing a guy like Soroka out, or in general just maybe slotting in as a bullpen arm. But we'll have to wait and see. Our man Dan Clemens saying that he's working security for the A spring training. If we go to a D-backs game, let him know. And definitely what to do, especially I'm going to try to get my wife and my son and I out to a game or two. Probably not Salt River because it's super fucking expensive there. I mean, spring training is in general. It's a joke. But if I go to the game, I'll definitely let you know. But Brandon, looking at the list of non-roster invitees here, are there any second thoughts you might have on some of the names Gabe mentioned, like Lou James Groover, maybe Christian Robinson, John Curtis, anybody else? Or is there a couple names there that maybe we haven't brought up yet that you kind of have your eye on and you're going to be watching a little bit closely, at least in the first few weeks before potentially getting cut, released, or relocated down in the minors?
I'm really excited to watch Daniel Egan play. Like that, I think that's the the in terms of the starting pitchers on this non-roster list, I think that's the one I'm most excited to watch play. I'm going to the first Saturday spring training game. I don't know who's playing, so that's the thing with spring training is you really like you can try and wait for them to announce the rosters and then buy a ticket, but it's gonna be really expensive. Derek Law is a name that I'm really intrigued by. We didn't really talk about it on the pod, but they did sign him to a minor league contract a couple of weeks ago. He had some really good numbers in 24. He did really good with the Washington Nationals through 90 innings with a 2.6 ERA with 157 ERA plus. So, really, really good. So let's just hope that he can. Maybe that is one of those diamond in the roughs that Mike Hazen is hoping to hit on because that's literally what this and all the relievers are going to be for him this spring training and this season is he's hoping to hit on a couple of them. So I just hope that they do. Infield, Ivan Melendez. I'm so excited. I feel like he's been with this organization a really long time. And we really haven't seen that much because he's always included in the first round of cuts or like that second round of cuts. So we've never really seen him face major league pitching that much of it. So I'm hoping he does well.
I think it's also because we've had we had Walker for all those years, and then we had Josh Naylor last year, to where we kind of had that first base position
I
locked
think
up.
first base is hit. If he can have a good spring, I think he breaks camp as the backup first baseman. Like I know we have Pavin, but that's more like they're gonna platoon Pavin and Carlos Santana, so they might need another first baseman as a backup because
But also as a DH, because our DH currently right now is ADC, who's a lefty. So
yeah,
Ivan
another
Melendez is a
platoon.
righty. So
So that's another one. Tommy Troy is going to be a Swiss Army knife. Like I could see him playing 5 positions: second, shortstop, third base, left, center, and right. I really could see him
Basically, a
being.
Brennan Donovan mini.
Yeah, he literally could be this year's Blaze Alexander. Like he really really could. I could see that happening. Outfield. To be honest, I'm excited on all 4 of them. To be honest, Drew Jones, K. Rob, Vukovic, and Waldschmidt. I don't think Waldschmidt breaks camp. I just don't see them doing it. The other 3, I could. Oh, sorry, not Drew Jones either. Drew is not going to break camp either. But if he can continue to improve his offensive ability and be a league average hitter, that's all he needs to be is a league average hitter. He's on this major league roster sooner than we think. He could be on it August, September because his defense.
So good. It's
Every
so good.
time we talk about Drew Jones, he is a he's literally his father's son. Like that's how.
By the way,
good,
shout out Andrew Jones. Took them way too fucking long to get him the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. So congratulations there. I really want K Rob. I think K Rob. I think it's time for K Rob to really. He's been with this organization a very long time. We talked about he had that little 2.5 year issue with his visa, which really sucks for him. He's going to be able to show on an international stage in the WBC, playing for Team Great Britain. So that's really exciting. So could K-Rob be our starting left fielder? I think that's an option. But I think, as we discussed, left field, that is Jordan Lawler's position to lose. I don't think Torres going to come out and say that he's the starting left fielder, but I think we all know if he does not perform well or he plays terribly defensively in left field, he's not going to be getting that. They aren't going to give him that runway that we want him to, which really sucks. Like it feels like they're holding him to a way different standard than any other player. And I don't know why. So, Derek Law, Ivan Melendez, K-Rob, Waldy. Very excited to watch a lot of these guys play.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of where I'm torn on spring training. Like if spring training was, the same price it was even like 10, 15 years ago, I think I'd be way more excited than I am now. Because like I love to see the future. I love to see some of these young guys. It's where you get familiar with names, especially like not all minor league games are broadcasted. And I know they stepped it up, but even when Drew Jones was really originally drafted, like the Rawhide, I don't know if you guys remember some of those first early clips. It looked like a high school baseball broadcast, and it was like super low quality. They didn't really like have much, so there's not usually a lot of videos to go around, especially in like high depth for some of these names. So it's nice to see them, kind of in person. It sucks, because the ticket prices are basically regular season prices, if not even more. Even though you see the main, the major leaguers like Corbin Carrolls, Martes, Perdomos, guys like that play like an inning or two, and then it's on to the young guys. And even some of those guys you see for an inning or two before it's going down to high A guys or guys that are literally going to be cut. They're just, kind of filling a spot for a week or two before these other guys can get built up. So definitely some good and bad when it comes to spring training. But I think the good side is definitely getting to see a little bit more action for some people that I don't think as many people are familiar with, because I know not everybody is not every fan is the same. There's going to be people that follow more of just the major league team. There's going to be people like our man Riley for Dbacks prospects that's is really familiar with a lot of the young names in the system. So everybody kind of follows the team differently, and I think spring training is a nice little mixture of you get to see the people you know of, you get to see some names maybe you haven't heard of, like even like Brandon said, Daniel Egan. I think a good majority of the fan base has heard of him, but there's going to be some that might not know who he is. Maybe they can see him in spring and be like, wow, this guy's pretty young. This guy's pretty solid. I'm excited to see him, and maybe next year. Same with Geisting, same with Human Lin. So definitely like to see some of the excitement around some of these names, and hopefully we get some surprises. I do fully agree with you on the Waldschmidt. I think the D-backs are one of the few organizations that no matter how good you play in the minor league or in spring training, until you've had what they deem like they have a game plan for you in mind, and unless you absolutely blow through that and you're hitting like 500 in spring training, they're not going to call you up. They're going to keep with the same game plan and try to keep you on whatever development track they have. So I think that's going to be the same thing for Waldschmidt. We're probably going to see him hopefully get as high as AAA early on this, or get to AAA early on. Maybe he breaks camp in AAA, but
I think he finished the last month in
in
Reno.
AA. Yeah, did he? Was it in Reno? I thought he got up to. I thought he got up to like AA.
I'm pretty sure he got called up to Reno like very, very late in the season. I thought there was one of the major prospects that got called up there like super late, and was only
The highest
there
he got
for,
up was
like,
to Amarillo last year.
okay. Was okay. I thought
I think I know Tommy Troy got called up to Reno. I think Ivan Melendez also got up to Reno a little bit too. I think those are some of the guys that's got some AAA action in. So either way, I would love to see. Just it's always nice to look at the future and see some guys, because every year rosters change. So it'd be nice. And I'm over here already playing with the baseball. That's how excited I am. Gabe talked about not throwing curveballs and reminded me. So if for anybody out there, the way to throw a curveball without hurting your elbow, listen to what my dad did. Is I basically grip it like a two seam, and I just twist my arm like this, and I have loose grip in my thumb. You just throw it like a fastball. You don't snap your wrist. I think that's what a lot of young kids do when it comes to throwing a curveball. Is they snap their wrist. I mean, I have no room to speak. I've got a borderline Tommy John putting on a jacket wrong, so I think my elbow is already cooked as it is. But yeah, so this is how excited I am about spring training in general. Is I'm already just over here, just throwing around a Major League Baseball, just excited to just get the season rolling, man. It's a brand new season. Obviously I know the Dodgers are gonna be the favorites, as so they're the fucking Avengers of baseball, but they almost lost in Game 7. It's anybody's game, and I think like we saw in 23, when this team is doubted, when this team doesn't have as many expectations, I think that's where we see the best side of them. I know 2024 coming off of the NLCS or National League Championship berth. And even last year, after all the moves we made, we were definitely expecting them to, be a juggernaut 95 win team. I think this year they're ready to surprise us, and I'm excited for that kind of D-backs baseball. But going on to we do have a few more topics here. Won't keep you guys here for too much longer. I know we're gonna dive into some of the Mike Hazen comments and stuff that he made on roster construction, especially Cotel Marte, which kind of stuck out to me. But I did at least want to bring out. I know some of the teams that have their official broadcasting rights through MLB. There's a few things that are kind of up in the air on maybe you have to subscribe to a couple different things, like you have to have ESPN along with the MLB TV, all this yada yada yada. Where it looks like the D-backs thankfully are not going to be affected by it, at least this year, as they tweeted out, I believe yesterday or today. They tweeted out today, 7 hours ago. D-backs TV is back for another season and is going to be $99.99 for the entire season. And obviously, that it even says they're subject to national exclusivities. The Apple broadcasts, the Peacock broadcasts. The ESPN or whatever games that are more on national broadcast. Those we won't get, but I mean, $99 for the entire season. Sign me up. I know I'm going to be getting it again. What are your thoughts on obviously the D-backs still avoiding another year of kind of having to jump through these hoops and deal with all these extra things are already expensive enough, and have to worry about having 4 subscriptions to watch a single D-backs game.
I think it's a detriment to the team to not have a TV deal because, like we saw, a TV deal could give you an extra 30, 40, $50 million in for a market like Arizona. I believe that's more or less the contract that they had with Bally, or something like 30 or 40 million a year. That could have made a difference between this team, cutting payroll and signing an actual, big time or big name pitcher like Dylan Cease or something. So the fact that, at least they're keeping costs relatively low. Obviously, not everybody can afford 99, about $100 for the season, or at least all at once. But at least for the most part, Arizona has the option to watch them because, like I've brought up before, Sportsnet in LA is a nightmare. Like, you can have it in one block and then walk to another block, and then you can't watch the Dodgers anymore just because you live on the wrong side of that block. So at least here in Arizona, we have a way to be able to stream them. If you have DirecTV, if you have Cox, it should be the same as far as I'm aware. Either 686 and channel 35 or whatever the hell it is. I don't have Cox, so you should still be able to watch them without getting an extra subscription. But we went from cutting the cord because you're paying for too many extra channels to going back to cable again because you have to buy 6 different subscriptions just to watch either one show or one team, and it's just a never-ending nightmare of streaming services, which is, I've always believed in physical media. I always talk about I have 500 or 600 movies, Blu-rays, 4Ks, whatever. I have a lot of shows, have like Downton Abbey, have all the seasons. I have a lot of the Simpsons seasons, the Twilight Zone. So like all my favorite shows, I own them. But like I can't own the Diamondbacks on DVD. It's just kind of not possible. I wish it was possible to just be able to stream them on DVD somehow. Yeah, I have the first 2 seasons on Blu-ray for
Physical media is
Dragon
king.
Ball. Yeah, so
Physical media is king. Don't let physical media die.
yeah. They also, by the way, they don't censor a lot of things. So I have like the first 7 or 8 seasons of It's Always Sunny. A lot of the band episodes are
Oh
on there as
yeah,
well.
dude,
So
the second episode is crazy.
yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that's unavailable to watch even if you buy those streaming services. So you know if you can, you go out and buy it. But also the D-backs TV, I think it's one of the best deals in the sport. Same with the ballpark pass. They're making it very accessible for a lot of families here in Arizona. Obviously, not everybody. It's just kind of unfortunately the way it's just always going to be. There's going to be huge segments of this population that aren't going to be able to access it. But radio is free, so
True.
if you want to listen to Chris Garagiola, one of the best in the sport, tune into 98.7 or 620, and you can hear him basically every single night.
Yeah, we definitely got spoiled going from, one of the best in radio broadcast history to another one that's obviously tough to fill the shoes, but has done a great job for Chris. And I think you hit the nail on the head, where I think the D-backs compared to all their teams. I mean, if you got the TV deal and the ballpark pass, you're being able to watch every D-backs game, whether obviously outside of the national games. But you get to watch every home game either in person, or you at least get to watch every single game on streaming services for what, under $400.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Like, that's not bad at all. Like, that's generally a fantastic deal. And like you said, even at $400, that's still not everyone's going to be able to afford that. And obviously that's only for the ballpark pass is only one ticket. So if you have like a family, it's going to cost a little bit more than that. But compared to what season ticket prices are, like, I know those aren't even cheap. Even if you get some of the nosebleeds up there, like, I think that they're trying to take a page out of the Matt Ishby and the Sons book, trying to make things a little bit more affordable. And if they could just make their value menu stuff actually taste good, then oh man, they're right up there. And I think that it's the best way to go. But yeah, definitely, I do agree on the side that while it is good, it's cheap, it does kind of suck that they do miss out on that additional revenue from having a TV deal, and that would separate them from maybe even not getting a big name like Cease, but who knows? Maybe they go after the Fairbankses and the Devin Williams of the worlds, and maybe they do end up. I know Goldschmidt probably was more down for playing time and not money, but maybe they have the extra money to just give Goldie, extra couple million to entice him to be a platoon role, but let the live vicariously, or try to pretend there's a different reality out there where that's the case. But Brandon, what are your thoughts on obviously the D-backs TV deal apparently not being affected by some of the changes that are undergoing some of the other teams in their TV deals, and what this means for the how you're going to watch the D-backs in 2026?
Well, the nice thing is I am a season ticket holder, so you get D-backs TV for 50% off. So instead of spending $100, only costs you 50.
True.
So that is an
I think all of us are holders too.
Yes.
So.
Yes, we all are. And then you get MLB.TV for free, which I still think is one of my favorite perks. But like, even if you're not a season ticket holder, you think about this: 160. Well, it's probably not 162. It's probably like 155, maybe 150 because of
With regular
the,
MLB TV and D-backs.
No. I'm talking about because not every D-backs game will be on D-backs TV. You'll have them on like Peacock or
True, yeah.
Amazon.
I think there's like 154, 155 games you get to watch.
Yeah, but still, think about it. $100 for that, like that. I'm sorry, like that is a steal. Like that is a great deal. Like that's gonna not even cost you $2 a game. Like if you're a real fan, like it's not gonna be an issue. And I think they have monthly too, but I think that's like $30 a month, or I might be confusing that with ESPN Unlimited, which that was a whole thing that people were very confused on about like how it's gonna like. At first, it was gonna be MLB.TV was gonna be behind the ESPN Unlimited paywall, so you have to pay for MLB.TV and ESPN Unlimited, so a double paywall. But I think it was confirmed that no, as long as you have MLB.TV, you'll be able to watch it. But you can also watch it if you have ESPN Unlimited. So it's kind of on both, is what I got out of it. But there was there was some misinformation going around that basically you would have to have both of those services to watch MLB.TV, which was not the case. So, but yeah, I'm just excited to it's nice to be able to.
We never really came close to doing it.
So it'd be nice to be able to watch any of the games really anywhere you want. Like, say I'm not at home, I can watch it on my phone. Or say I'm on a trip, I can watch it on my laptop. I can watch it on my iPad. Like, I do like that ability.
The fact that he's here, I couldn't be more thrilled. He's going to help us win a lot of baseball games.
No, it was something that I just felt a responsibility to explore, but we never really came close.
Is that mine?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's coming. I don't know why it's going through here. Should be going through my headphones. I don't know why that's happening. I don't know. I've had some audio technical issues lately, so I'll have to figure out what that is. But yeah, I think it's a great deal overall, and I think that it just in general will be a little bit luckier than some fan bases on just how we're still able to watch our teams without fully breaking.
Well, there's a lot of teams that have this team.tv thing. Like there's a lot of teams now that were affected by Bally's, where Major League Baseball had to take over basically production and the streaming of their games. So there's a lot of teams that have this. I don't know if they're all $100. I don't know if the price is as that good. Now, keep in mind, D-backs TV is only if you live in the state of Arizona. If you're outside the state of Arizona, you just got to get MLB.TV and you can watch it. You don't need D-backs TV. Because they only do D-backs TV because MLB.TV blackouts local teams. That's the only reason they have these. So if, say, for example, you live in California, as long as they don't play the Angels or the Dodgers, you can use it. Which I believe we have someone in our Discord that's the only downside of MLB.TV is when they play the Dodgers or the Angels, you can't watch the games.
Yeah. So it definitely definitely gonna be a downside to being a D-backs out of state. Which, if me and my wife ever move, that'll be one of those unfortunate things where if they ever play the Orioles or somebody else, I might have to be like, shit. I guess I just have to go watch them in person. Um, but yeah, say it's definitely some good and bad to it, but it's always nice to try to keep some affordability in a world where sports are just becoming insanely expensive. I mean, even basketball, football, like I will say baseball, yeah, hockey. We don't have hockey here, unfortunately, but at least the sports that we have here available to us in Arizona, I still at least appreciate the D-backs are probably the most affordable. Um, Obviously, concessions can be one thing. I know the HB and the Suns are, doing a good job there, but with the D-backs, the actual just get in price, the fact that you can bring in your own food, which I don't think they allow at the Suns game. So like if it's in a clear container, like you can literally bring in spaghetti, like whatever you want, as long as it's in a clear container and you're adhering to the guidelines, you can literally bring in whatever food you want. And I think that's a big, I think that's super clutch. If you can keep the sport affordable, keeps the fans coming back, you're not pricing people out, keeps the younger generations being able to, even back in my day when like high school, it was nice to be able to meet my friends. Like after I got my license, like, hey man, you guys want to go sit in the bleachers for $25? Drive there. We have value sodas. We can hit up like In-N-Out on the way there. Bring in like a burger. We can hit up Taco Bell. Bring in food there. Whatever. Just keeps the sport more affordable, and it's not like a lot of other sports are getting to where it's only a sport for the rich to be able to enjoy, which I feel like that's kind of the route all sports have been going down, but. Getting back into, I guess, more of spring news, and obviously with pitchers and catchers reporting today is Mike Hazen did have a couple other, couple different comments on the team. I mentioned earlier he did state that they are still in the market for starting pitchers and relief pitchers. Did confirm that Hazen, excuse me, sorry, I've been talking a lot. He did confirm that Pavin Smith will kind of stick at first base this year, which everybody already assumed. So. Carlos Santana might even be more of a DH option for us. But the one that to me stuck out a little bit more was he actually was vocal and did say that he apologized to Ketel Marte for, quote, how widely public the trade rumors were. Our man Alex D'Agostino and then a couple other reporters had a couple clips there. But the thing he was saying that Marte is very much committed to being here and being an elite baseball player. And I think they even said that, I think it was Steve Gilbert said that he has had a lot of conversations with Ketel. Again, apologizing for, said Nick Picoro said General Manager Mike Hazen said he apologized to Ketel Marte for how public the trade rumors became this offseason. The two recently has had a, quote, number of conversations, including going to dinner together, and Hazen feels good about where things stand. So whether, there's probably still some fans out there on the Magadoros of the world and the other AZ Sports Raiders of the world that still think that he's soft, crybaby, cancer to the clubhouse. They should have traded the best player in the sport for the question marks that would be the Red Sox, which, quick tangent, I love that the Red Sox Twitter has gone from stroking themselves over Ketel Marte in D-backs edits to signing, or trading for Caleb Durbin and, having IKF as their second baseman. It's just Boston sports taking L's left and right this last week or two. But yeah, say in regards to some of Mike Hazen's comments, what are your thoughts on what he had to say? Obviously, them still being active in the pitching department, and then maybe what he had to say on our superstar second baseman.
Yeah, so I'm mostly curious about the what he meant by them being still in the market for pitchers or relievers. Does this mean that they're going to actually spend the money, or are they going to work on trades still? Like we've talked about before, like you usually want guys to be in, while pitchers and catchers are reporting, because the longer you wait, the more issues arise where guys are just not ready, or they just have injuries and huge setbacks. Like we saw with Montgomery, he just waited too long to get into camp. He came in out of shape, just really, really struggled here with the D-backs, and then eventually ended up needing surgery. And we've seen this countless times where guys, they come in, whether it's pitchers, even position players, like I mentioned before, Bryce Harper, Manny Machado, the first years of their new teams, they struggled because they signed in early February, if not right as pitchers and catchers were reporting. So not having the ability to train fully, to get in touch with the staff, be able to work with these guys. Like I remember the conversation that Zach Gallen said that when they brought in Brent Strom was ready for him, weeks ahead of time. It's basically invited him out to dinner in January and had a folder on him already. Like, that's the conversations that, even though they're not in camp, but these are the conversations that that the coaches are having with these guys. Today we saw basically the entire team has already reported. Full workouts aren't until Sunday, but basically everybody's out there. Renato, Corbin, Alec, Perdomo, Cattell, everybody who's supposed to be there is out there in the training already. And I know the comments we're talking about earlier, like with Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen hasn't reported anywhere. Justin Verlander isn't going to report until a few days from now. Like, what truly are you getting out of these guys, out of these pitchers? Maybe relievers, it's a little bit different just because same as as they do in the regular season. They don't need as much time to warm up or to get ready the way pitchers do, or I guess starters do, because obviously starters are trying to work themselves into 150 to 200 innings worth of workload. Relievers, for the most part, 60, 70 innings at most. So they don't need the same amount of reps as the starters do. So I'm curious about that. And concerning Cattell, I think this is just something that got way out of hand. We've talked about it here as well. Like, somebody said something and then the entire media ran with it because there's just no news at all. Like, as soon as some guys started signing, like Pete Alonso and all these guys started falling off the board, a lot of the Cattell trade talk rumors just, they dissipated, and the only ones who were really talking about it were the local media guys who seemingly have an agenda as well. So, like I said, I don't think Mike Hazen was the one making all this super public. It probably was him just, taking offers the same way, he's kind of supposed to as a general manager. If he just got a ridiculous offer from a team, they're just like, Paul Skeens. We'll trade Paul Skeens for Cattell Marte. Like, you're going to have to listen to it, and it would be foolish not to. Like, as great as Cattell is, I would love Paul Skeens, and he would be a huge help to his team. But he was probably just open to fielding these offers, seeing what was there, what wasn't there. And, the media took it as they're shopping him around, there's a difference between shopping a guy around and listening to offers. And from the comments today, it seems like Mike was just listening to offers rather than shopping him around. So, at least some of those stuff is cleared up. And maybe as as spring goes on, we're going to get a little more clarification about some of the other things that happen in the offseason. I think you're muted.
Thank you. Yeah. The other thing that I also did, at least, like, maybe not like, but one of his comments was also on the expectations for the upcoming season. Is Jake Garcia had a quote. They said he admits on paper this team might not look as good as last year's team, but also says, quote, "There's no excuse for us not to be the best version of whatever team we go out there and compete with," which definitely sounds like some. It's definitely the GM speak of like, hey, we're still major league players, still a good team and all that. But I don't know, so at least nice to see him, have confidence. I know that's kind of his job. So like, if he would have gone up to the podium and been like, whatever, like this team we're gonna win it as long as we win 75 games, we're better than what we're expecting. But it is nice to see that he's doing his best to instill the confidence and know like, hey, there's still a team that can surprise some people, and we're still gonna play a certain brand of baseball. That even I know we kind of confirmed or saw confirmation in regards to them getting Arenado and Carlos Santana, but even admitted that their corner defense over the last couple of years has been one of the reasons why they kind of have seen some more losses here and there, and why we saw them kind of, I guess, take a step back or maybe not make the playoffs. So I know it's not the only reason, but it's nice to see him at least kind of admit that, like, yeah, them getting Arenado and Carlos Santana was a big reason, why, because they wanted to improve that defense. And there's still questions in the pitching staff, but if you have a solid infield all the way around instead of just up the middle, instills a lot more confidence in your pitchers that they don't have to only worry about pitching for the strikeout. They can pitch to contact. They can stay in games a little bit longer, like Gabe said. Build themselves up to the 150, 160 plus innings that we need to, and hopefully we'll see some more media stuff throughout the next couple weeks or so here. And I do agree with the Cattell Marte thing. It was definitely blown out of proportion, and not even just by local guys, by fucking Boob Nightingale, which I don't know why everyone wants to defend Bob Nightingale, like writers in general. I know what was it, Morosi or John Heyman always seems to defend Bob Nightingale, like, oh, he's still a great reporter. There's a difference between reporters that want clicks and reporters like Jeff Passan who just fucking report news. And that's why I respect Jeff Passan. That's why I don't respect Boob Nightingale, because one will go out there and just report actual facts. One goes out there just kind of throwing shit out and sometimes seems to be a media outlet for owners that want to, maybe try to stir interest for or against a player here and there. But I digress. But Brandon, passing it along to you. Were there any comments made by Dbacks general manager Mike Hazen that kind of stood out to you? Whether it's the Cattell Marte thing, whether it's maybe their infield defense, whether it's the roster construction, anything else in general? Because I know he's kind of out there for a lengthy amount of time. Obviously, first day of spring training, he's going to be answering some questions. But is there anything from him that kind of stuck out to you that you wanted to point out here on tonight's show?
The fact that he said that he basically had to apologize to Marte for basically how this offseason transpired. He really didn't have to do that. He was doing his job. His job is to listen when people call him about players. And there have been numerous comments saying that this is not the only offseason where this has happened. He is always the most asked about player when teams call him about his players. It's always about Cattell Marte. I just think somebody in the organization leaked the news, and then kind of like Gabe said, when there's no news with other players and you got this one story, it's gonna get traction, and it just causes all sorts of just stupid mock trades. Just ridiculous. We saw some ridiculous mock trades this last offseason. Here, we're gonna give you a Ferrari, and we're going to give you a 1993 Honda Civic.
That has no AC, the windows don't work, there's no auto locks, the back passenger door on the right is kind of broken.
Transmission works half the time. Stuff like that was just ridiculous. And then there was that report that came out a couple of days ago that they were pretty close to a trade, and then Hazen's like, I want Marcelo Mayer, and Boston's like, fuck no. And that's when it stopped.
Which, thank God, because Marcelo Mayer's good, but
if he's giving away a premium player at his position, he needs to get a premium prospect in return. So I'm glad that he knew what his asking price was, and he didn't back down. He's like, unless I'm getting this, I ain't moving him because I don't need to move him. You guys are asking me what would it take. And like we said numerous times, he's not calling teams saying, you want Cattell Marte, you want Cattell Marte, you want Cattell Marte. No, what he was doing was, my phone's ringing, let me answer it and see what's going on. I really think that's what it was. I don't think that he was calling teams asking, do you guys want Cattell Marte? That's just my personal view on it. Again, I could be wrong, could be right, don't know, but I truly don't think he was calling teams saying, you want Cattell Marte? I think it was more of someone got news that maybe they saw what happened last year with the Nick Picoro article, and we're going to try and take advantage of this situation, thinking, maybe they don't want him. Maybe I'll go ahead and see if I can get him for the cheap. But they didn't. So I'm glad that he was he knew what he wanted in return for Marte, and he wasn't going to back down until he got it. And in terms of some of the other comments, this team on paper isn't great, especially the I think it's mainly the bullpen that we have that the biggest concern over is if you look at that bullpen on paper, this is going to be one of the worst bullpens in Major League Baseball yet again. I feel like we say that every year with Mike Hazen. He just cannot construct a good, decent bullpen. But that's not an issue with Mike Hazen. That's an issue with a lot of teams. So It's not like it's a Mike Hazen only struggle. He struggles with it every year, but so do probably 10 to 12 other teams. So it's not like it's just a D-backs thing.
Yeah, so definitely nice to see, or definitely one of those things where it's at least nice to see them still, address I think the big name out obviously is Zach Gallen. I think that's kind of what he alluded to when he's saying like starting pitchers, because outside of that, like I don't really know starting pitchers that are out in the market. And then maybe even for relievers, like Gabe said at the beginning of the show, maybe Jalen Beeks, or maybe it was that you, Brandon. One of you guys said Jalen Beeks at the beginning of the show. Danny Colum. There's definitely still some interesting names out there, especially I think with the Andrew. I think the Andrew Saalfrank news definitely got him going. I mean, shit. I was already looking, keeping feelers out there, but I think I'm gonna continue pushing even more, and trying to figure out whatever I can do to make the team even a little bit better, because you can only rely on some of those NRIs and other, I guess, quote unquote unproven names for so long before you're like, well, we're kind of just punting on this. We're gonna hope and pray that we can actually turn it around with what we have, but if not, then oh well, not my fault. But Brendan kind of hit the nail on the head. It's always been an issue with Mike Hazen. It's not like it's just only a Mike Hazen issue. A lot of teams struggle building out their bullpens every year, but it seems like Mike Hazen especially has a severe struggle in getting consistent bullpen arms, whether it's guys getting injured and kind of throwing a wrench in the plans, or just not being aggressive in the free agent reliever market. Either way, I think that it's going to be interesting to see what they do in the next week or so, as we are 10 days now from official baseball. I think February 20th is the first spring training game. The D-backs against the Rockies at Salt River Fields.
A week from Friday.
Yeah, so 10 days. Maybe, fingers crossed, maybe we get a return of Zach Gallen. Return of the Zach. Return of the Zach. Maybe we get another reliever or two, but we got 10 days before we. It's not like once games start, we still can't improve the roster, but I feel like they're gonna have probably around 95% of the roster, if not 99% of the roster, kind of fully figured out by then. But I don't know. I definitely don't envy Mike Hazen and his job right now, outside of the pay that he's probably getting, because it seems like a very, very stressful job, especially even being Torey Lovullo. I feel like we've seen those two age like 30 years in the almost decade they've been in charge here. So I feel like that's there's two jobs on the planet that I feel like ages somebody faster than anything. Well, I guess three technically, either the president of the United States, and then 2 and 3 would be a general manager of a team, and then a manager of a team. It just seems like they gray a lot faster than maybe a normal person would at their position. But any other final thoughts you guys wanted to touch on? Obviously, I know we had a lot to discuss tonight. The top of the show, Saalfrank, Burns, Puck, and Martinez. The D-backs new TV deal, things like that. I guess one of the things I at least want to bring up, I know we mentioned a couple weeks ago, but there were some clips of the D-backs doing some roof repair, and oh boy, that new Jumbotron looks pretty fucking huge. It's gonna be nice to see
that on Saturday.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I probably won't be there because I work Saturday night, and I don't think I'm gonna go to the thing on Saturday on Valentine's Day just to come home for an hour and be like, hey, honey, I'm going to go to work now. Bye. So I'll probably not be there, but, who knows? Maybe I'll figure something out. But, yeah, so it'll be exciting. And, again, another reason why you guys want to join on in, because I know we have, I think, if all of us are season ticket holders, that means we should have 12 to go around. Where, stay tuned. I think we might do maybe like a little giveaway for some MVP tickets. So, if you guys are listening, make sure you guys are following us on all socials, because we'll probably put out an announcement on our social media on, when to, what to do, when to do it, and all that stuff. So make sure you guys keep that in mind. But any other final thoughts you guys had on anything D-backs related before we head on out of here?
You can hear your PlayStation through your microphone.
Why is this
like
happening?
5 minutes.
Why is this happening? Can you hear it now?
Yeah, I heard like some baseball thing. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, I don't know what's going on here. I'll go back to this.
Like for the last 5 minutes, I'm like, am I in heaven? Like what happened?
Okay, no, so I'm glad, because I don't know why it's never happened this before. I gotta check out my whole audio. I've been having some audio issues, man. I'm just very unlucky, but I don't know. It's my day off tomorrow, so I'm getting ready to play a game or two of some MLB The Show, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. So I'm found out. You got me.
But yeah, I'm just excited that baseball is here, like spring training. Like this is when everyone gets excited for their team, no matter how crappy it is. Like I know we have our issues with the D-backs right now, with the you mentioned roster construction. Like there's a lot of issues, but it's still exciting to see guys out there training. And like Brandon said, you never know at the end of the day. Like a lot of guys could go down. Some guys can just have seasons like Perdomo did last season, where he doubled his WAR. That's not, why can't another one of these guys do the
Lawler.
same thing? Lawler, he can become a 7 WAR player suddenly. Alec Thomas can become, at least a decent offensive player. We can have Erod bounce back. Like, why couldn't he bounce back? So it's still exciting. Like I said, even when this team has been terrible, I'm still excited when pitchers and catchers report. I just would hope that the national, our local media would be as excited, because it would be like the first day pitchers and catchers reporting for spring training game, and they're talking about Kyler Murray or whatever for the next 4 hours. So I'm tired of hearing about Kyler Murray and that saga. Like, please just talk about baseball now. Baseball and basketball. That's all it should be on the docket. I don't want to hear anything about football. Football season's over. You don't have to talk about it until September. So I'm excited for that. And then, FanFest should be fun. I think if you see any of us, come say hi. We always like talking to people about baseball, and I am excited to see the new changes. Excited to see the giveaways as well. So I'll try to bring my camera out there and get some good pictures of some of the players, or even some of the giveaways to post on our social media.
Yeah, so definitely a fun time. And again, I know there's a lot of people that are still a little bit salty, or I guess upset that they made it a season ticket holder kind of thing. Which again, I totally understand it, but like Brandon said before, if you've been to one of those things before, it was a season ticket holder only event. You know that it is so hectic. It's almost it's just standing in lines, it's standing in crowds. It's basically like going to a giant festival for like a concert, like Mayhem, or back in the day for like a Warped Tour, where you're just standing in just a giant crowd of people, and it's not that enjoyable. And I think what they've done so far, and I feel like every year they've gotten a little bit better on like how they kind of have everything set up. And again, if you guys like to chase autographs, this is a great place to go get autographs. They do pretty much have, I'd say, a majority of players. Obviously, they like rotate because they have like players doing Q&A. So the only unfortunate thing is you can wait in line for an hour hoping to get Corbin Carroll to sign it, and then he gets up, goes to do questions, and they put Pavin Smith in the seat, and you're like, I might just get out of line. I don't think I want that autograph anymore. But yeah, so definitely a fun time of the year, whether it's spring training. I do agree. It'd be nice to see some more positivity on the D-backs, but this is a doom and gloom media state. Depression and rage and, overreacting to things is what drives the clicks, not being positive and, optimistic. Definitely a glass half full kind of state when it comes to sports media, unfortunately. But that's why you guys want to follow us, because we can be glass half full at times. We can, we like to flip a coin sometimes, decide like, are we gonna be glass half full, glass half empty today? Let's keep you guys on your toes. But Brandon, anything you wanted to dive into, or any other final thoughts, comments, things you wanted to touch on tonight before we get out of here?
No, I think we covered everything here pretty well. I'm just excited to each day to see if we get more and more news. Do we bring back Gallen? Like I said earlier, I think every day that he remains unsigned, I think our chances of re-signing him go up with every single day.
Oh yeah, I need to see some kind of Zach Gallen news just so that's over with, and I also need to see them put the new spring training hats officially on sale on site, because I don't know, something about those hats this year. I like it. They're not the same like stretchy athletic wear. It seems like they're like a regular like fabric hat. But I don't know. I'm a sucker for because it looks like it's like cacti with like some flowers, like cactus flowers blooming in there, and the spring training patch looks a little bit cooler this year. So as you can tell, I'm a sucker for hats. I need to get myself a new one, which my wife is probably listening like, no, you fucking don't. But I got a $25 MLB The Shop gift card burning a hole in my wallet, so I got to use it on something. Might as well be that. But yeah, say it's definitely the start of an exciting season, as we are finally through the cold months, in quotes, as we don't really get cold months here in Arizona. We're done with the Super Bowl. We can be excited for playoff basketball as we get closer to it, but it is baseball's time to shine. It is officially time to get hyped, as it's a brand new season. We all have something to listen to and watch, at least 5 out of 7 days a week when we're at home and all that. So, and again, you guys get a little bit more of us. Usually, I know we're only doing one show a week, but we do series recaps and all that. So after every series, you guys know where to be is joining on us as we get all our thoughts, questions, concerns, talk about anything that happened in each series right here at Dbacks Dispatch. So that's where you guys want to be throughout the entire season. You can follow us on all socials, especially for this Saturday. You'll see us posting all the giveaway announcements, some live Q&A, especially on our YouTube. Our man Josh, if he's able to go, that'd be clutch. But the last couple years, he's done a great job of getting video recording and audio recording and having really high quality stuff for the Q&A, which I know a lot of people enjoy going to the Q&A. So make sure you guys are following us on socials for that and on our YouTube page, because we'll be posting some clips on there. Make sure you guys go to follow us on all socials, especially if we're doing a little giveaway for any of the FanFest or MVP tickets. That's where you want to make sure you guys know what to do to get in on that contest. And then go to azsnakebit.com. Make sure you guys check out all their articles over there. A lot of great community involvement. Pretty much any article you can imagine for the D-backs will be over there. So again, that is azsnakebit.com. But in the meantime, you all have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday. Hopefully you enjoyed your holiday of pitchers and catchers reporting, and we can all get a little bit excited that spring is finally here. Spring has sprung, and we'll get a little bit more D-backs as we move along through 2026. But you guys have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday night, and we'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.
Under the lights, the game goes down. Tears are a heap, but we own this town. Brennan Cave on the call, with Josh in the back, bringing it all. Fastballs hum, the bats ignite. 9 innings deep, we fight all night. Wins and losses, highs and lows, we break it down, yeah, that's how it goes. D-backs dispatch, turn it